Alrighty, welcome in everyone to ORL Season 6 for our second pre-season event here. This time we're around Qatar under the lights. We have a couple of different faces on the grid this time, and I'm joined by J-Man in the comms box. How are you, J-Man?
I'm wonderful, thanks Lindsay. It's great to finally be back in the comms box with you for the first time in F1 24, and I'm very excited to see what the drivers have got on show for us today. Obviously, driving around the lovely track of Qatar, and we were separated last week into two separate lobbies, but now we've got the one, and looking forward to seeing what the best of the best drivers can do and really trying to prove themselves before the draft, which is it's a week away from today, so this might be one of the last chances that the drivers get to do so.
Yeah, and I think this is where, for the drivers that don't already have their kind of pace known out in ORL, that they have to do alright this race if they want to make a name for themselves, because there's going to be quite a lot of people in the draft pool between the two tiers, and I think that how well you do to get your name out here in the preseason races is going to be quite important.
Yeah, absolutely. And just looking as the drivers start to roll out, it's a very colourful track now, Qatar, with the as we know, it's one of the tracks that's been updated for this game, and there's a lot of bright colours everywhere. So it's very picturesque, one might say, especially under the lights. And yeah, a few drivers going around. Obviously, no one in their normal teams this week, so it's going to be a little bit harder for me to navigate my way through. And just speaking of over a few returning faces from last season, we got Sparks, who's was away for a little bit, but he's come back now, so good to have him back, and Milan as well, and Kizzy, the two brothers. They've been a mainstay of tier 2 for a long period of time now, so it's good to have them back racing once again, and then a few who drove last season, and a few new faces as well. So obviously we got no standings to discuss at the moment, Lindsay, but it's just going to be good hard racing.
Yeah, and I think the good thing with preseason is it's kind of gloves off a bit. People don't really care when it comes to certain people being nice to them on the track or being more aggressive with certain teams, because there isn't that constructors fight. It's just you fight because you want to do well in the race. It's just a pure, complete one-off. So it's going to be quite interesting to see who decides to stick the elbows out more than normal, or if anybody just wants to play it safe still because they want a decent result without the chance of, more reduced chances. Senna, actually, sorry, speaking of getting damage and stuff, Senna picks up wing damage from a Red Bull. I think it was Raven that has impeded the McLaren there and has now picked up some damage, so he is going to be really annoyed with that one, and now he has to come into the pits before he even gets a bank lap in, which is definitely a big setback around the likes of Qatar, where track limits and validations are pretty common. I think our next, or maybe even first person to cross the line on a fast lap will be Ferret, who's also nearly been blocked by that Red Bull. So Senna's coming to the line, but take his lap time with a pinch of salt, as he did get damage. Oh no, he's dived into the pit lane. So Ferret will be the first one to set a time in the Aston Martin, the line a lot earlier than last year, and it's a 22.4. So that is our benchmark to beat. We still have a few drivers out on the track. Obviously, everybody trying to set their opening runs. And considering what you know from the first preseason lobby, who would you expect to be right up there, J-Man?
It's a good question. There was some mixed results in the second lobby last week. I know we did get to see your lobby on live stream. I think a few drivers DNF'd in that one, which was unfortunate. But overall, in the second lobby, which I was racing, it was actually a very clean race and a pretty quick qualifying as well. Abyss OCU, who's not racing today, took pole. It was a very good lap around Silverstone. I think it was a 26.3 or something. I can't remember exactly, but it was very impressive. And Grateful Dog, who's currently in P2 at the moment, ended up winning that race. So he's definitely going to be one to watch out for in that Ferrari, which is good to see. And Mickey had a pretty good qualifying as well last week. Unfortunately, the race didn't quite go his way, so he'll be hoping to make up for that this weekend. So those are the main drivers that featured in the race last week. Other than that, there's a few people that didn't race last week, and this is their first opportunity to show us what they've got and show everyone in the league what they're made of. So as Mickey goes fastest by a tenth, just as I mention his qualifying prowess, it's good to see the former Tier 2 champion really holding his own here as well.
Obviously, he had a bit of a rough last season. He came back towards the end, just practicing a little bit more than he had been since he turned the assists off in the first F123 season, where he really began his struggles, and now he's slowly returning back to form, and I think he's getting along with this game just a little bit more.
Yeah, as yes, a few of the drivers have set their lap times already. The 122s are where we're looking at early days here so far. We'll see if we can catch anyone else on a lap. I think Sparks, I know he's hasn't used any of his battery. Maybe Martin. Yeah, Martin's on a lap through the first sector. He's done a 30.3 and just had a bit of a snap going to the corner there. Just didn't really want to turn in. And that's there's a lot of difficulty. Yeah, there's a lock up there from Martin as well, and a lot of drivers finding the cars in this game a very difficult beast to handle, as Martin is proving here at the moment. Look at the sliding he's getting at the moment. It's a bit of frustration for quite a few players, and the handling update was meant to resolve some of those issues, but clearly by the reactions of many drivers it hasn't done too much to do so. But Martin just sliding his way through and invalidates on the penultimate corner there. It was a very much a struggle of a lap there from Martin. I'm not sure what you make of that, Lindsay, but that was interesting.
Yeah, he's a bit all over the road, but I think that's to be expected with the current state of the game. Obviously, you did mention it briefly there, but something of big note coming into this race was the fact that just on, what was it, Monday? Or Friday, sorry? I don't even remember. Friday. There was the big handling patch, and so that might shake up the grid a little bit. Obviously, lap times have slowed down quite significantly. I'm not sure about around Qatar. I think it's slowed down a bit, but it's more high speed than low speed, so the lap times have stayed fairly in a similar range. But yeah, I think that what we're going to see today is a few people who might not have realised that the patch even happened are going to be struggling, or people just didn't practice a lot with the new patch are going to be struggling. And it's just going to be a good tester for everyone to see how the tyre wear's changed, how the handling in the race has changed, even inside this qualifying session. Right now, I think it's a good sort of base ground for everyone to go off of here and learn this new handling, as much as it isn't really that different, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, it is interesting, but Qatar's also a really good track just for sort of a driver's skill perspective. Obviously, with the big change in the game, there's going to be a wide variety of lap times. It's not going to be, the field's going to be more spread out than what we'd usually expect to see. But experience from Qatar is it's a very high skill track. Usually, the best drivers are going to be coming out on top. Obviously, it's very easy to make a little mistake and get invalidated. I'm watching Taipan TJ at the moment, who's completely gotten blocked by the McLaren of, I believe that was Guga. So I think that would cause a bit of frustration for him. But yeah, I think Qatar is one of those tracks where the best drivers get it right. And speaking of the best drivers, Abyss has now joined the lobby, so we should be about to see a bit of a flurry of pace come through when he sets foot on the track.
Yeah, and speaking of a flurry of pace, someone who's getting along with this game is about to cross the line. They're going to smash the provisional pole. The Mercedes of Lindsay Dickey setting the fastest lap, 21.1. I'm sure there'll be more to come. Come the final runs, Abyss jumps in the Alpine, so he is definitely going to have some struggles, I think, trying to match that time, but also joining in late. It's always a bit difficult, but we'll see if he can persevere here and pull out a good lap time that can maybe challenge that Mercedes that's on the top right now. We have Grateful Dog improving once again. They improved 0.5. They're now 1.1 off provisional pole. That is just the gap between somebody who is really getting along with the game, like Lindsay Dickey, and people who are just trying their best with Grateful Dog. And Fat Ferret now 22.0 for P2, so that gap is just absolutely massive. And I think we need the likes of Senna to keep it on the road, and we need Martin to keep it on the road, and we need Abyss to come out and set a good lap time, as everybody's struggling to keep it on the road here. And the main people who are struggling to keep it on the road are normally the people who might be fighting Lindsay Dickey up at the front there.
Yeah, and you mentioned Lindsay Dickey and him getting along with the game really well. It's been fantastic to see from just the pace that he has shown in the early days of this game. Clearly far and away the fastest driver that we've seen in ORL at the moment. Obviously, we haven't, as Sparks goes 5th fastest in the other Mercedes, and Royal Duck follows him into 6th. We haven't seen the likes of Geordie Slater really grace the track that much, who's historically been the quickest driver in the league, but Lindsay, the other Lindsay, not you, is going very well at the moment. And I think he's really just entered into his own in this game. Obviously, he was a mid to top level driver in Tier 1 last season. I think he got a few podiums together. He did join about the midway stage. So, yeah, he's really found some form. And as the Haas team principal, he'll be competing and really hoping that his team's up there this season.
And another person who we're hoping will be competing potentially in Tier 2, Milan, just pipping his brother there by a 10th, putting himself up into the top 5. He's in a Williams sandwich, so it's going to be Mickey, Milan, and then Kizzy for 4, 5, and 6, and I'm sure that'll close up as we continue to finish out this qualifying session. Now, another driver who's looked to have found their form this game, Abyss OCE, is just starting his first flying lap, or at least his first valid attempt at a flying lap. I'm not sure if he's tried another one. He's just gone off the track, and that's going to hurt his lap time. He didn't invalidate, but he had to give a big lift off. He's in the Alpine, and he's definitely coming into his own. I think I've seen him in the Alpine quite a lot this game, so maybe that's his preference. Maybe he's trying to send a message to Geordie, potentially, our Alpine team principal. But yeah, he is definitely another person who will be challenging at the front.
Yeah, and he's flying through in his lap at the moment. And he's got a Red Bull very close in front of him, so hopefully they move out of the way, and they do. And yeah, you can just see how the handling's so different in this game when you see how the cars take these corners. Like, you just see him flinging the car into that corner. It just sort of responds to it. And that's the quickest way to go in this game. It doesn't look pretty, but it gets the job done. Abyss is on a bit of a slower lap on this occasion, a 122.9, but obviously to be expected considering the lack of preparation. But not the worst start for him. Martin's invalidated his lap. We still have to wait a little bit longer to see what his first lap is. But yeah, I'd just like to get your thoughts, Lindsay, on obviously the handling. A lot of people say it's not realistic. And the way drivers are attacking that string of corners in Qatar in the final sector, it does look a bit unnatural in my eyes. I'm not sure what you think.
I completely agree with you. In fact, I probably am F124's biggest critic. It speaks volumes when I raced all the way through F122, much like you, but I very much didn't enjoy that game, and I didn't step away from it. And then this game, I've stepped away, and I'm refusing to league race because I just really don't enjoy it at all, which is why I'm primarily in the comms box. And I just really don't like the way the direction the dev team went with this game. They've just gone super unrealistic, super arcadey, and I really hate it. I really do.
Yeah, it does look like it's sort of made like a drifting game almost. It's been incorporated into F1 cars, but with the way that the cars just slide around like they do, it doesn't really look like anything you'd see on a real life track. In the meantime, Senna has gone second fast, and he's gotten really close to Lindsay Dickey's lap time. He's just under 2/10 off, so good improvement there. Now we can watch Martin in the Haas, who has set a pretty decent first sector time, a 1:30 flat. So we'll see if he can challenge that time at all. This is first legal lap of the session. Only 3 minutes left. It's going to be make or break for him at the moment. So we'll see how he goes flying around in that Haas. It is. There's a spin. He's tried to catch it. He had to catch it about 5 or 6 times there, and eventually he's had to abort the lap. And yep, a lot of drivers having similar issues there to what Martin was, and he's only going to get one more chance here, if that, to get a lap in.
Yeah, he really has been struggling as we see our provisional pole sitter going out once again on an outlap. And Senna only just about got a lap together, put it 2/10 behind Lindsay Dickey. And I am assuming Lindsay Dickey will go for like a 20.5 in this next run. It is about the lap time set. I think 19.9s is the really quick people. And then like anywhere in the 20s is pretty good, but I'd assume... Because I was watching his lap when he was doing it, I don't know, he looked a bit scruffy, but obviously scruffy doesn't particularly mean slow on this game at all, so we'll have to see what he can find, but he can definitely get into the 20s, and we'll have to see if Senna and Martin, once he gets out again, can match, and maybe even Abyss as well. He obviously had that big mistake in the first run that he set that I spoke about. So where all of these front runners we saw from the first pre-season race will go is to be seen, but I think our pole position sitter might be pretty obvious. But speaking of someone who participated last week, Royal Duck crossing the line 22.3, puts himself P6 for the moment, so not bad for him. And now we see everybody out on their final outlaps of this session, and I think one of the first people to cross the line for the people we should be watching for pole position is going to be that Mercedes, our provisional pole sitter. They're going to be going for a lap very shortly. I'll go on board with the telemetry on. Do you want to take this one away?
Yeah, Lindsay Dickey, and this is going to be really a really good on board, because this is one of the drivers who's been setting lap times, at least in time trial, that are up there with not too far off the best you'll see. So it's going to be really good just to have a look and see what the kind of driving style is going to be like in order to set these kind of times. You can see hugging the outside there into turn one and taking over the curve nicely. Good exit there, and then flings it into that left-hander, as we've seen many drivers do already. And he's got just unlimited grip, it feels like, does Lindsay in at the moment, and getting very close to the lines there on the inside. And he's done very well. That's a very good first sector. A little bit of a slide. The car just reluctant to get into the corner there, but he's a 10th up on his personal best. Ran a little bit deep there, and he's had a slide, and he's had to catch it. Unfortunately, that means that it's not going to be an improvement, but Mickey and Senna, the two drivers behind him, have DNF from the session. So as Grateful Dog goes P3, but Lindsay won't be improving, and he'll have to watch and wait to see if anyone's going to be able to knock him off.
Oh, Lindsay is only a hundredths down. Like Save only lost them about a 10th, so obviously they definitely could have broke into the 1 minute 20s, but if they get a good enough sector 3 here, they definitely can still improve as they head through the final corner. I think we'll see that Mercedes will just improve by a touch, but not enough to get where I was expecting them to be. As they head to the line, it's going to be a 1 minute 20. Oh no, they brake before the line. They were going to improve, but they just smashed the brakes. So that's definitely something I didn't expect to be seeing.
Fat Ferret stays in 5th.
Yeah, Fat Ferret staying in 5th. Milan is 300th up as he heads into the final corner. He does a 1 minute 22.3. Just under a 10th improved, and just stays ahead of his brother. And Sparks is now a 10th up. If he can improve a little bit more through Sector 3, he can probably put himself in between Kizzy and Milan. And if he has a really good final corner, maybe even put himself above the both of them, but I doubt it. So as he heads around
that
the final
sector
corner,
looked good.
Yeah, it did look quite hooked up. Where's he going to place himself in that Mercedes? Where's he going to go? He's going to do a 1 minute 22.3, and he does put himself above the both of them and more. P7 for him. Grateful Dogs just backed out of his final run. Taipan TJ didn't quite get a lap in, and the final Alpine coming to the line. What's he going to do? It's going to be a 1 minute 26.6, so kind of nowhere to be seen there. And yeah, Lindsay Dickey taking pole as to be expected, 21.1, so not the fastest you'll see, but it's serviceable. And then we have Senna behind him, 2/10 behind Grateful Dog, then in P3. And Taipan TJ telling me, oh never mind, he's joking. He told me he did 21.1 and he invalidated. What a troll. He said he did 22.1, that still would have placed him quite up there inside the top 6 if he'd done a low .1. So yeah, we have Lindsay Dickey, then Senna, Grateful Dog, Mickey. Oh, for fuck's sake, I've been tabbed out. I hate you, computer. Ferret, Abyss, Sparks, Royal Duck. I don't even know how to say that name. But the Ferrari, Milan,
RJ
Kizzy.
Kuistra.
Yeah, fucking. What do we want to say here? Googa? Or Gooja?
Googa. Yes, Googa, mate.
Yeah, Googa.
With new members comes interesting names, and that's what we love about this league.
Yeah, definitely.
And notably as well, just quickly, Taipan TJ and Martin, two pretty decent drivers, failed to get a lap in, so they're going to occupy the back row, and they've got quite a lot of work to do in the race this afternoon.
Yeah, and I think we'll see quite a lot of overtaking get done, even though it is quite difficult to overtake here with the way the overtake works on this game. You can still get a move done even at Monaco if you use the battery at the right time. You get so much extra speed. So it's all going to be about the battery management here. I don't think a lot of people have tested how the new handling goes when it comes to the race with heavier fuel loads. Maybe it feels a bit better in that regard. That is for us to find out. The tyre wear is always high at Qatar, and especially on this game, I expect to see maybe even a 2-stop if we're lucky, because the tyre wear is quite aggressive, but I think we will see primarily 1-stops because people won't want to branch out yet. It's only pre-season, and also we don't know exactly how bad the tyre wear is going to be. I think today is going to be a good test for everyone, but as we come to the lights, it's for us to all find out. Lindsay Dickey starting on pole as we come to the lights here, as the lights go out, and away we go. And Senna getting off to a good start. Lindsay Dickey getting off to a better one. There's 3 cars spun off in the background. It's a V car, but Sauber and a Red Bull as Senna files in behind Lindsay Dickey. Then Ferret, then Abyss makes up 2 positions. Grateful Dog got off to a bad start on those medium compound tyres. He's down into P5. Then we have Sparks putting the pressure on him behind him in P6. Then Milan already making moves in this race, getting past Kuistra. And now he's getting switched back to underneath him. Milan gets thrown Royal Duck now as well. As lap 1, everything's kicking off here. A few cars off in the back there. I think it was Martin who took an excursion onto the paint on the outside as we're 3 wide. A couple of cars going 3 wide. There's an Aston Martin spun around as we see the V-carb of Royal Duck was wheel-to-wheel with Milan there. There was also a Williams involved. I think it was Mickey as they went 3 wide into the corner. Somebody backed out before they went into it though. As Raven in P16 making a move on Marvel as we head back up the order. Abyss trying to put some pressure on a Ferret, and then we move further down again. Royal Duck still looking to make some moves onto Milan here. We've had a bit of a hectic first lap. Not a lot of people made it through unscathed. But here we go. Royal Duck already with a penalty. Goes up the inside of the fast left-hander before the final corner. He's definitely showing that he doesn't want to mess about in this race, but that 3-second time penalty on lap 1 is certainly going to hurt him. As Kuistra is now trying to put the pressure onto him. Obviously, Lindsay Dickey leading the first lap away as we see McLaren diving into the pit box. It's Guga as Kuistra looking down the straight to make a move here on Royal Duck. Will he go the inside? They make contact. Royal Duck just turning in on him a little bit under the braking as we head into turn 2 now. Royal Duck closes the door. Now Martin tries to get up the inside of Kuistra. Will he be able to get that move done? Yes, he does. Right down the inside. And now the pressure he puts on Royal Duck. Royal Duck moving late, making contact with him. A bit of an illegal move there from him, but Martin comes away with it without damage. And now he's probably going to go up the inside of the hairpin. He does. He's late on the brakes. He clears them before they get to the apex. Royal Duck tries to get underneath him with a better exit, but Martin is through. He's had an absolutely electric start here. He's gone from the back already into the top 10.
Yeah, great start from Martin. He's up 9 places into P9. He started dead last on the grid. There was a lot of damaged cars. It was very difficult to keep track of, but Guga, Marvel, and Miniman all picked up damage, and Raven also picked up damage. He's lost an end plate, but he's decided to stay out, and there's an AlphaTauri that's around. It's Royal Duck, who's had to find his way back onto the track, and Grateful Dog's already picked up a track limits penalty, which is a major issue for many of the drivers around this track. So I think that won't be the last we will see this afternoon for sure, as the leaders make their way down the main straight to start lap 3 already. It's been a very quick-fire start to this race. Senna has been able to hang on to the back of Lindsay Dickey, and with the DRS has caught him quite significantly. and we know the overtake and how much difference that makes as well. So the deployment, as Lindsay has actually deployed a lot of his battery early on, so Senna with the advantage there, and he's just going to wait for the right opportunity. But there's been a lot of changes. Grateful Dog and Mickey have had some pretty average starts, and as I speak of it, Mickey goes off the track, and Martin makes his way through into 8th place. So another position made for the Haas, and now it's going to be Martin versus Milan very shortly down the main straight, I'd suspect. But we'll stick with the leaders for the moment, because Senna looks like he's going to make a move on Lindsay Dickey. But it was a good set of corners there by Lindsay Dickey. He's just able to get away. And in the meantime, Fat Ferret's had a good start as well as Abyss. So very competitive between the top 5 at the moment. There's a bit of a gap forming from 6 downwards. But as we head down towards the main straight, Fat Ferret has caught up quite a bit, and we'll see if Senna is going to try and have a crack at this overtake. He's got the DRS. He is a fair way back. Lindsay Dickey swerves to the inside. Wants to hold that inside line into turn 1, but does he have enough to stop Senna here as he goes around the outside, and he's going to take the lead of the race for the first time this afternoon, and Martin as well has gotten past Milan into P7, so his charge continues after not setting a lap in qualifying. He's already up to 7th, and Senna now in the lead. We'll see if he can hold it.
Yeah, I do think it's going to be a bit of a recreation of last week with Lindsay Dickey swapping with, I don't even remember who he was swapping with in Silverstone, but he was swapping back and forth every straight, and I think maybe Fat Ferret will get involved as well, so I think we'll see quite a lot of swapping between this top 2, maybe even the top 3 quite constantly, in Abyss also lingering in the background, as you said earlier. I think all of these guys will just be battling in that DRS, the slipstream inside of that DRS, partnered with the powerful overtake that this game has brung, and the quick recovering ERS. I think we'll see quite a lot of overtakes, but I don't know if any of them will be particularly flashy or made under braking. As Lindsay Dickey goes off the track, that's probably his first warning, at least that we've seen. But as we head onto the straight here, will Ferret try to get involved? We'll go on board with Ferret, though, to get a front row seat behind these two. Lindsay Dickey will clearly be trying to go for a move on Senna. You see his battery light stops flashing as he turns on the overtake and tries to go for a move on Senna. He's trying to gain in a straight line. We're going to go on board with Dickey now, as he does have to pull up alongside under braking, and he's going to sweep through into the lead just about. Senna tries to get underneath him now, but he can't quite pull it off in that McLaren. Senna clearly having a lot more straight line speed, as Lindsay was deploying all the ERS and just couldn't quite pull off the move. Lindsay was just sitting in that battery, with that battery on, sorry, and he was not gaining enough until they got to the braking zone. So I think that whatever Senna's wing is, it's a lot lower. I got there eventually.
It's interesting to see the drivers now being a lot more cavalier with their battery usage. In the previous game, there was a lot more of trying to retain the battery throughout the course of the race, but it just comes back to you so quickly nowadays. There are some tracks in F1 23 where if you deployed all your battery, you just weren't going to get it back for the rest of the race, and that was it. So drivers are obviously getting used to that new change as well, and you can see how the battery's already been regained. Senna started the lap on about 35%, already back up to 50, and he's quite close. But it's a great top 4 battle at the moment. Sparks was there, but he's just fallen off a little bit, and Guga is now coming to the pits for a second time. He's just come out of the pits, actually, so he's not too far off being lapped. He's got to be careful, but here we go. A big battle coming up here. Abyss is also interested out the back. Senna tried to go around the outside. Didn't have enough on that occasion, but he's going to cut underneath Lindsay Dickey, and this could be an interesting little fight here through the first sector. Fat Ferret waiting for any opportunity that comes his way, but positions held for this moment as Type TJ makes up another place. He started on the back row with Martin as a yellow in the middle sector, just up the road from where the leaders are, but that's cleared out the way. And Senna wasn't able to get past on that main straight, and the top 4 battle proving to be very close here, and it looks like we might be seeing this for a few more laps to come as well.
Yeah, but something that could get in the mix here is lapped cars. It's almost like a multi-class race here. They're already approaching 2 or 3 cars here. Obviously, the next 2 besides from the McLaren, are a bit further up the road. But yeah, it's definitely interesting to see as there is a yellow flag. It's one of the Saubers around its juice box who's had a little bit of a tumble in the Sauber. But yeah, I think that the DRS that Lindsay Dickey could get from that McLaren in a few laps' time, maybe not even, probably next lap, honestly, will be quite influential to the way this first stint could go. Because if the McLaren doesn't get out of the way, obviously, then Lindsay Dickey will get held up, and the other McLaren centre who's making a move for P1 right now is Abyss, also trying to go around the outside as I get cut off from my fucking rant. Oh, whoops. Anyway, doesn't matter. It's pre-season. She'll be right. I'm so tired, if you can't tell. I'm just fucking... Oh, fuck.
He's done it 3 times. He's done it 3 times, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm the league owner and a half, aren't I?
And we're just gonna give you a little bit of a nap for a second.
Just go, honestly.
Abyss trying to go round the outside of Fat Ferret. This is a good little piece of racing action. The McLaren getting out the way. It's a bit awkward. Fat Ferret, that might have hurt him a little bit. The McLaren just on the side of the track, pretty much right in front of his line. Abyss is into the podium places now, so very nicely done by him. And we know what the pace he's got. He came second in his pre-season race last week. So can he challenge the likes of Lindsay Dickey and Senna? They're two team principals as well leading the way. So it would be a real show up as... Oh, Senna goes down the inside! That was an opportunistic move there. And you don't often see an overtake in that corner. But was it strategic for Lindsay Dickey to get the DRS? I'm not sure, but it was a very nice looking move. And now we go back down the main straight. There's another lapped car. It's Marvel in the Alpine. But here goes Lindsay Dickey about to get that move right back. And maybe it was strategic after all, because he does get that place back. And Abyss has been able to hold that place over Fat Ferret as Mickey and Grateful Dog battle it out. Mickey takes P8 for now, and I'll hand it back to you, Lindsay. Hopefully you've
Yes, I can speak now. Yeah, we don't talk about what happened just a second ago. The Alpine lap marker getting in the way. Senna gets a bit of damage there. I think that was. I saw him lose an end plate, and yeah, he does lose his front right end plate as the Alpine causing more calamity here. As Senna goes up the inside of Ferret by accident because Ferret had to have dodged the Alpine, and the Alpine's still in the way now as Senna getting overtaken by Sparks as he goes right around the outside as the Alpine just stops on the track right in front of them. And yeah, that is some interesting driving from the other Alpine. I didn't expect to see that. That's what I was trying to say before I just ended up losing my mind when I was saying the lap markers could get involved. Now you see what I mean. I don't have to speak anymore.
Yeah, exactly. It's happening on the screen.
Yeah, anyway. Sparks now getting himself involved in this fight. Senna will have to dive into the pit lane, which has moved locations, as we saw in qualifying. It's now, once you come out of the final corner, you got to dash off to the right quite quickly as Senna now dives into the pits as expected. Abyss just about able to get back within the DRS of Lindsay Dickey as Martin moving up into the top 5 now because of these pit stops. He's having quite the impressive race from the back of the grid. It's only lap 9, and obviously pit stops taking effect here, but he was still inside of the top 6 regardless, so he is having quite the race in that house.
Yeah, and this has brought Sparks back into the game as well with that interruption there that was caused by the back marker, so we'll see if he can bring his way in. Fat Ferret did lose a lot of time there, but he'll be thankful that his wing's still intact and he's in the podium places. He's having a very solid race himself. And also, speaking of solid races, Taipan TJ is now up 10 places, closely following Martin, who's gone up 13 places. So we were wondering how they were going to go from the back of the grid. They've done well so far. Ferrari is slow towards the back. That was Grateful Dog, who's struggling at the moment. One of last week's race winners, it was Hubman that won the other lobby. He's not in the race today. But it's been a tough time for Grateful Dog and Mickey. They've both pitted onto new tyres, and there's another yellow. The track just lighting up at the moment. And I believe that was Royal Duck, or no, it might have been the Alpine again, going slowly, letting a lapped car through. And
as they
he's
retired
in
on
fact
track.
retired,
Safety
and
car.
a safety car.
That definitely throws a spanner into the works as the Mercedes, Lindsay Dickey, and Abyss are going to beat the safety car out of the box, and that allows them to pit and easily come out in front of Senna as if they weren't going to already because of Senna's wing change. But the undercut might have been a threat had they stayed out a few more laps, and now that changes the strategy of a few people's races completely, I think, as we see a good couple of cars into the pits, and we'll see even more as they round the final couple of corners. Obviously, that front train is going to become quite condensed, and that brings this race right back to life here, with a couple of lap markers in the middle of it as well, I think. I don't think they're going to be filtered out to the back of the grid.
Yeah, that is going to cause some interest. Yeah, all he had to do is not get lapped for the first 10 laps and he'd still be in it. But, yeah, this is going to be frustrating for Senna. He's lost out already to Martin and Milan. And he will lose out, as I'm not sure if you're seeing this, but the safety car is just flashing like crazy on the top of my screen, the safety car sign. It's very annoying, but...
That happened to me last week, but this week.
Yeah, so the top 5 are all going to pit, and it'll be interesting to see. Type N TJ might not get out in front, but yeah, he might fall down. But the top 4 will hold their position, and it's about the perfect time for the medium runners to make that pit stop onto the hard tyres. So this has worked out really well for them, and they'll probably hope to try and run it all the way to the end.
Did somebody just stay out? It was one of the Red Bulls that's just stayed out. I think it's Raven. It's Lindsay Dickey just locked the rears as they headed into the pit lane. Hopefully they didn't get damaged, but they had a hefty smack of the left-hand side wall, and they are missing an end plate, and the wing isn't going to get changed in the stop.
Oh no. Yeah, so that's going to hurt him big time. And Abyss has actually jumped him.
So
in the pits.
He's had a shocker.
So Abyss has taken the lead of the race, and Lindsay now has damage. So this has hurt him massively. We know the pace that he's got, but now he's going to have his work cut out for him if he wants to find his way back in the race. We'll see if he wants to brave it out with the wing damage or if he comes in straight away. But either way, it's going to hurt him. So yeah, that's a big mistake there, a costly one.
You know what? It's probably just a play. Yeah, wing damage. It feels like F123. You lose all the front end. Kaboom, kabam.
Yeah, I'm not sure that was his thought process, but I could see why you might like that idea.
Lindsay Dickey likes this game too much to be breaking his wing to make it feel like it has less front end. But Abyss will definitely be cheering for that one. That gives him the lead, which he was so desperately chasing down before that safety car was called, and now he gets to pull away because yes, Ferret is quick, but Abyss just before was just a bit quicker. Obviously, with the DRS being enabled after one lap, Ferret will still be fighting him the whole time, but at least he has less pressure than having to chase Senna and Lindsay Dickey, the 2 fastest guys out on the track, respectively.
Yeah, absolutely, and we will be waiting a little bit for everyone to catch up. And there's 2 lapped cars. I think Miniman and Guga have been lapped, so it's going to be an interesting restart on that front. And I think Raven's not in the session, so I might just chuck him an invite just in case. And there we go.
I'm intrigued to see if the retirement that caused this safety car was a retiree on track or like an actual spin, because the way the dot was, it was a bit odd for it to be a normal DNF. I think it was just a retiring and then the AI pulled off to the side of the road.
Yeah, it could have been, but I'm not sure, to be honest. We'll have to find that out later, but it has caused a safety car nonetheless.
Just came in as well. Or was that a Guga?
Lindsay Dickey into the pits, so
Yeah,
he's going to change that wing.
Looks like it's probably Guga that came into the lane.
Yep, and Kuistra is he has old hard tyres on, so chucking the mediums on. And Lindsay Dickey now in 13th. So we saw Martin make that comeback. He's gone up 14 places in 12 laps, so there's nothing that would suggest that Lindsay can't do something similar. and he's got plenty of time to do so if he gets it right, if his racecraft is up to it. So it's a good test for him as well to really see what he's got. Obviously, we've seen the pace, but we just haven't seen the results from him so far. So yeah, we'll see what he can do.
Yeah, and obviously being faster is one thing, overtaking is another, and we're going to have to see the racecraft of Lindsay Dickey here. We've seen Martin's already as he piled his way through, as you already mentioned. And yeah, I think that with a lap marker right in front of him come this restart, it's going to be very interesting for him. Oh, what the hell is happening? Lindsay Dickey just went steamrolling into the back of Juicebox there. I don't think he got damaged again, luckily, otherwise we probably would have seen a penalty for severe contact. But he was it looked like he was trying to overtake Guga, and then went too hot and just smashed into the back of Juicebox. So
he's very lucky to not get damaged from that in that case. But yeah, so the safety car should be in this lap, and Abyss is now leading this race with Fat Ferret in second and Sparks in third. And Martin is also right in the mix as well, so he has just had a day so far, has Martin, and he'll be hoping to continue that. But Abyss has driven a near flawless race so far, and the mistakes of others around him and incidents have really just gone his way so far, and that's led to him being in this position. So we'll see what time he decides to take off, and he's going to wait until the final straight. It is a long one, so we'll see how long he decides to hold it, but off he goes.
Milan
and
had a big
I don't know what happened to Milan there, but he lost a lot of places, and now I think a lot of people have illegal overtakes, but Martin is now past Sparks in the third and going it wheel to wheel.
Back. There was a
Fat
big
Ferret
one.
is also taking the lead off Abyss in the meantime. They're going wheel to wheel out of turn one as Guga retires from the race. And Abyss and Ferret, it's so close between these two. And Abyss and Ferret takes the lead off him, but what has happened towards the back? Sparks has been taken out.
No, Sparks just spun.
Oh, he spun.
So there was a big pile up at the back there. I'm surprised there was not more DNS than just Guga, as we see the VSC now being deployed. But so from what I could tell, this is why I wasn't looking at the lead battle you were looking at. I saw a big, massive pile up the back. And a bunch of cars just stopping because of Milan's little moment. Oh, I got disconnected from the lobby.
Alright, I'll get you back in quickly, and in the meantime, I'll do a bit of a radio call again, as Lindsay Dickey just picked up a 10-second for a severe collision. We are under a virtual safety car. You get that invite?
Yeah, I'm getting it. Apparently I got an invite from myself as well. So.
Yeah. That'll do, and yeah, they're back racing again, and Taipan TJ is up into P5, getting past Milan. Kizzy got past Milan, and now Lindsay Dickey gets past Milan, and he's lost about 6 places in the space of 2 corners. Not sure what happened there, but Fat Ferret leads from Abyss OCE, who's 7/10 behind. They go down the main straight to start lap 14, and Martin's picked up a penalty. Almost every driver in the lobby now has a penalty, except for Ferret, Abyss, Taipan TJ, and Sparks, and the penalties are big. Juicebox has 22 seconds, make it 32 for speeding in the pit lane, and Raven has 13, and Senna and Lindsay Dickey both have 10. So the penalties are coming thick and fast at the moment, and they're not just corner cutting penalties as Juicebox decides to retire in the pit lane. Those penalties were just a little bit too much to overcome, I think.
Yeah, okay, I can see now. Alright, I'm back. Yeah, virtual safety car. Okay. Alright then. To go back to what I was saying about the safety car restart, yeah, there's a big pile up at the back because of Milan slowing down, and then that caused a big Constantina, a few cars just made contact with each other, causing a good few penalties up the back, and then I looked back up towards the front and just Sparks just looped it on his own. So yeah, he just didn't have the best of grip, it seems. But it seems like while I've been reconnecting, a lot more has gone on. So
yes, and disappointing to see that there was a lot of incident there on the safety car restart, because there was a fantastic battle between Fat Ferret and Abyss. and hopefully we'll get to see that continue as the VSC shouldn't be too far away from ending. And Fat Ferret has just stepped on the gas and pulled away from Abyss, and there is a drive-through for Royal Duck for speeding under VSC. So that has hurt him quite significantly, but Fat Ferret has now pulled the gap out to 1.6 seconds. Lindsay Dickey gets past Kizzy. There's a big battle where the Ferrari's gone round at the back, and that's Grateful Dog, who is not having his best day. Kizzy is trying to fight back against Lindsay Dickey here, and we'll see if he tries to make a move. He doesn't, but Lindsay Dickey with that 10-second penalty is going to make his comeback plans a little bit more difficult as he runs off the track there. And there's a big battle brewing in this midfield at the moment. Everyone very close together as he approaches Taipan TJ, who is currently in P5. Yep.
Lindsay Dickey has damage. Front right end plate missing.
Yes, he does.
So he went from the front left end plate to the front right end plate, and a 10-second time penalty to boot. So he is definitely not in this race anymore without another safety car to bail him out here.
Yeah, it didn't really make the most of that opportunity there, whether it was his fault or someone else's. And Abyss, Fat Ferret and Martin have pulled away from the pack. Senna struggling a little bit. Lindsay, is he going to stay out with that wing damage, or is he going to come into the pits? He's going to stay out, so obviously just hanging out for a safety car, trying to hold his position. But that's why Kizzy's been able to get so close to him. Is Kizzy going to have a go down the inside? Not quite, but Lindsay Dickey is gaining massively on Taipan TJ. This battle could get a little bit spicy here. Kuistra is just behind as well, and Milan. And Kizzy getting very, very close. He's got a lot more downforce than Lindsay Dickey thanks to that damage, but he just lost a little bit of time there. And now Senna's picked up another penalty, so he's up to 13. It hasn't been anyone's day. The penalties are a lot harsher in this game, and Royal Duck with a 10-second for speeding in the pit lane. I'm pretty sure that was to serve his drive-through as well.
Lindsay Dickey had a massive rear lock-up, and I think took the wing of not Kizzy off. Yeah, Lindsay Dickey has taken Kizzy's front left end plate off because of his little rear lock-up, and now Kuistra trying to get involved with Kizzy as well, as the Ferrari tries to get underneath him and then go the long way around as we head through the long, painful left-hander here around Qatar. As they head into the flat-out final sector, though, this is where that Ferrari should come into its own without that damage. As you can see, not Kizzy all over the road, and Kuistra having to back off the throttle quite a lot to stay behind because he doesn't want to get tangled up in an incident here, as it could be devastating. As he heads into the final corner, will he go for a move up the inside? No, he's going to wait for the DRS and then sail away. Once he gets through, he hits the back of Kizzy. Kizzy having to go astronomically slow, and he then dives into the pit lane, and Milan is now trying to get involved as well. So from one brother to the next, Kuistra can't seem to get enough of the battling between the two, and now Milan tries to go around the outside, getting that move done, the Red Bull, making it look comfortable around the outside as Kuistra tries to stick his nose in once again. Milan solidifies the move there though, and now he's trying to get past the Mercedes as he puts on the battery. He's going to try the outside. This could be a move if he gets it done. He goes right around the outside. Lindsay Dickey gives him the squeeze, but Milan stays just about on the track. There's more wheel bumping as we head into the hairpin now. Milan's going to try out break him. Lindsay Dickey moving a bit under the brakes. Lindsay Dickey's giving him no space. It's a bit of an interesting decision there from the Mercedes. And now Kuistra's trying to get involved as Kuistra goes up the inside, gets past Milan once again. Milan will not be happy with that. And now Kuistra is going to try and get a move done. And now Kuistra ends up with damage as well off of that Mercedes. So Lindsay Dickey giving everyone damage up and down the grid that's around him. It's not a good look for him. And Milan, the only one in this little train that doesn't have damage except for Mickey now. Who will be next to get damage, I think, is the question we all need to know now. And Milan will have to try and get involved as they head down the straight. That's the one place where he's going to be weaker compared to these guys. There's big contact between Lindsay Dickey and the Ferrari. Kuistra gets it done around the outside. Finally, someone gets a move done on him. And now Lindsay Dickey moving quite abruptly as they head into the final corner. Lindsay Dickey giving Milan the squeeze once again. He's just not giving up at all. And honestly, it's bordering on unsafe driving as Mickey trying to go as well. He goes up the inside. He goes for the quadruple. He's trying to go for 3. He's going to go up the inside. Lindsay Dickey just tries to keep his nose in. What a move that was, but he couldn't quite get the third one done as Lindsay Dickey just having that straight line speed. As I think we'll see Mickey try to get a move done, but Lindsay Dickey is just not giving up anything, and it's honestly, not the best decision on his end. He's given a lot of people damage.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, it's a bad day to be a piece of carbon fibre because you'd just be getting absolutely smashed in this race. And Lindsay gets another 3 seconds. He's been tapped around by Mickey, and Milan has picked up damage from that. He clipped Lindsay Dickey's car on the way through, and Lindsay just pile drives himself into the wall there. And I think he's trying to TNF. Hopefully he comes into the pits if he's going to do that. But I think that was probably coming for Lindsay. Based on the way he was driving, and Milan unfortunately was an innocent victim of that one. There was some great battling before that, and yeah, so now Milan has damage. Mickey's gotten away scot-free, and he's now in a pretty good position in this race, up to P6. But in the meantime, Fat Ferret closing in on Abyss to making a move for the lead on lap 19, and he goes down the inside, gets it done very nicely. A bit more clean battling up front here from what I presume will be 2 drivers that will be very seriously competitive in Tier 1 this season. And Martin, not too far behind as well, will be fantastic to watch as the season goes on. But Lindsay Dickey now is still out on the track. And he's now bumping wheels with Kizzy, who he's already had a run-in with. And now he's coming to the pits. Lindsay Dickey stays out. And he has been the cause of attention so far, and for all the wrong reasons today.
Yeah, but now he's found himself in a pocket of free air in front and behind, so hopefully he doesn't disturb anybody else's races as we head into the last 10-lap stretch. And I think now our focus will be shifted to that top 3 indefinitely, as they are quite comfortably the closest on the track. So, Abyss versus Ferret versus Martin. Martin obviously on the back foot here with his 3-second time penalty, but with the way track limits are around here, I wouldn't be shocked to see these top 2 get penalties at some point during the race either. So we'll see how these 2 will manage, as Milan coming out of the pit lane behind Lindsay Dickey. Oh no, the fight continues. But the leaders are going to go at it once again. Abyss gets the inside, sweeps through into the lead. Martin just not getting involved just yet. I think he's just sitting back and hoping these 2 push each other off the track one too many times, and then he'll find himself in it. But Martin did get an extra 3-second time penalty, so maybe scrap that plan. He's just going to have to go at it now. But we're going to have to go to Mercedes versus Mercedes, Lindsay Dickey versus Sparks, and I think Lindsay Dickey has found himself without a front wing entirely now, so he definitely has to come in. I think he had an incident with Milan as they were a couple hundredths separated at one point, and now Raven is going to try to get past him. What is he doing? What is he doing? Oh,
Raven has damage, as does Lindsay Dickey, as does Milan, and now they're battling into the final corner, and they're last up. I knew that was going to happen.
Yeah, that was always going to happen because they headed into the final corner. That Mercedes just swerved him. It almost looked like he was just trying to DNF him, so maybe Mercedes just losing their head just a little bit, and it's not good to see, especially from someone like a team principal.
Yep. Well, in the meantime, as I said, Milan was he was fantastic in that battle. All the time I've watched Milan race, I've never seen him back down, and he's shown it again, and he's still in P8, having a good race. Unfortunately been hindered by that a little bit. We'll go back to the front again because this is good to watch. Fat Ferret on Abyss. Martin broke very late there, thankfully avoided any issues, but now he's really closed up to the front too, so we could be about to see a bit of a 3-car battle unfolding. And behind them, Senna is 2.7 behind, so a little bit further back, and then Taipan TJ, who's in a very good spot, should there be a late safety car of some sort without a penalty. So that's good work on his behalf. He's had a good little lonely race as far as the last 10 or so laps have been concerned. But yeah, Fat Ferret takes that lead back, and it's going to be a very exciting finish to this race between these 2. They're very even on pace, it looks like, at the moment.
Yeah, and there's a yellow flag. Who is that for? I think it was a Ferrari. Yeah, it was Grateful Dog that was just behind these leaders, and I think Lindsay Dickey also dropped down a position from something. But something of note here, Qatar always seems to be a place of racing here in ORL. You cut back to last season's Div 2 race. Obviously, we saw absolute calamity through the whole race with Apex Stig and Mickey the Works, all of some of the people who are in this race, actually, a lot of the people who were Div 2 last season that are in this race were involved in that. So we're definitely no stranger to a battle around Qatar, whereas I see a lot of other times people struggle to race around here, and I think it's interesting to see the different style of racing we see between some of our drivers, especially around a track like this.
Yeah, it is, and it's Grateful Dog's retired in the pits. He's unfortunately hasn't had a great day, but yeah, you're right. We have had some of the league's very best battles happen at Qatar, which is usually pretty uncharacteristic of the track, but as the difference in pace between some of the drivers can also be a factor in that, and generally, especially in Tier 2 of recent seasons, the racecraft has been very good as well, so that's what's been able to provide the very entertaining battles that we've seen. And hopefully we get another entertaining one between the top three, because it's getting towards that pointy end of the race, the business end, and Fat Ferret's still holding that lead from Abyss, who is going to try and take it back from him very shortly. I think Abyss has a little bit more downforce, because you can see how he's gaining, and there's a little bit of contact between the two of them. So I think Abyss just has, that higher downforce, lower wings maybe for the Aston Martin of Fat Ferret. As we round the final corner once again, will Abyss have enough with the slipstream and the DRS? Of course he will. He's going to absolutely fly past him back into the lead. And what of Martin? Is he going to be close enough? No, he's not. And just sitting patiently. He does have 6 seconds worth of penalties. So he knows probably the best result that he's going to be able to muster is a P3, unless some miracles happen for him. But I think he will be happy with a P3 considering his qualifying position. And a little bit further down the field, everyone is sort of spread out very evenly across the track. So as Miniman is retired in the pits as well. So we're down to just 13 drivers now.
Yeah, I think we've seen a lot of people retire in pits this race, and then like 2 on-track retirements. I think just a lot of people getting so many penalties, it's just not really worth going on, even if there was a safety car. Their race wouldn't be particularly saved, obviously, as we head more into the actual season. Once everybody's been placed into teams, I think we'll see less of that, obviously, because any point you can gain is important, but obviously in pre-season it is pretty common to see people retire in pits if they get a few too many penalties, as there's no championship on the line, so the points isn't really what they're worried about. But these top 3 definitely fighting like it is for a championship, as we've seen as we head onto the straight once again. These top 3 not giving each other an inch, as Martin might just drop out of DRS there, but I think he'll just about get it. Actually, he didn't get it, so that's going to make his time pretty difficult here if he wants to stay in this lead fight. But Fat Ferret not gaining as much as other laps, in this lap he stays behind. So as I think the gloves have come off here, the strategy towards the end of this race on how they want to play this at the end is now coming into play, and Abyss definitely not going to want to be out the front coming onto the final lap. I don't think that's where you want to be, as the DRS overtakes is it's extremely easy around here, and I think that being in P2, maybe even if you're close, P3 come the final lap will be the play, but definitely P2 is the hot seat as we head into the final couple of laps. But maybe leading until 28 and then getting overtaken then will probably be the way you want to go. But Ferret maybe not showing that's what he wants to do. But as we come into the final 5 laps here, J-Man, I'll ask you, out of this top 3, more the top 2 because of penalties, who do you think is going to take this one?
It's all going to come down to strategy, I think, in the end here. It's going to be interesting to see how these two play this. Obviously, we haven't really seen much of these two race in the league before. Fat Ferret was a reserve last season, so we did get to see a little bit of him, but we haven't really seen them in a situation where it's a race for the win. So what are they willing to do? What risks are they going to take? And is there going to be a bit of gamesmanship between the two of them? As Fat Ferret now flying back down the straight, he's actually depleted his battery and makes the move back into the lead, but Abyss is not going to let him go, and it's going to be a bit of battling between the two of them. And Abyss now has that inside line. Ferret trying to hold it. There's a Red Bull right in the road, and that sort of caused a bit of a break in this battle, unfortunately. We were developing into something really good. Ferret is still gaining, and off the track goes Abyss. He's got to be careful with those warnings. If either one of them picks up a penalty here, it's going to be almost gifting the win to the other one. So yeah, it's good to watch what sort of strategy we're going to see from the two of them. But yeah, unfortunately that battle was cut short a little bit there by the Red Bull getting in the way.
Yeah, but as they headed out of one, Ferret definitely gave Abyss a squeeze, but it was a respectful squeeze, and I think that's what we're probably going to end up seeing in these final couple of laps here. Hopefully it doesn't go any more than what they were. They were getting quite close, but it was good to see. It was nice, hard racing, and these two definitely showing that they have some good racecraft, at least for the moment. And I think Ferret definitely wanted to overtake there, but I think maybe Abyss does want to be in the lead. I think if I was in that situation, I'd want to be P2, but it's each to their own. Obviously, some people who feel like they're quicker do like to be leading and kind of controlling the pack as they enter the final lap in a battle like this. Martin, though, definitely not in the fight for the win with penalties here, but he could get involved as Ferret tries the outside this time as Abyss finally defends the inside, unlike laps prior. And speaking of Martin, he nearly got his nose in underneath Ferret there. The Haas driver just sitting back, he's being patient. He knows that he doesn't need to get involved in this fight. It's not his fight to be in because of his penalties. But he also potentially does want to get involved to some capacity, as I think that's Lindsay Dickey, who's just joined the back of them there as a lap car. Hopefully he doesn't cause any problems as he is trying to stay with them. As there's a car off right there, Martin goes off. Now Lindsay Dickey went on the inside of Martin for a second there and then backed out of it, so he had a little moment. I'm not sure who went off into the gravel there, I didn't quite catch it. But Ferret still close behind Abyss, and then Martin closer than he has been on other laps. But I think Lindsay Dickey is causing a bit of a problem for Martin. They're just sticking his nose up a little bit. But we'll stay and we'll go on board with Ferret as we're about to head into the final sector, heading on to lap 27 of 29, the lap before the most crucial ones of the race, the penultimate lap and obviously the final lap. Battery that we look at used to be important come these laps, but now not so much, as whoever has low battery can just chuck it into none and save a bit. But Abyss further away, a bit more distant than he has been on other laps by about a tenth or two, but it won't make much of a difference as he activates the DRS. He opens his rear wing and he's going to go to the outside. Abyss defending the inside once again. Ferret's going to try it the long way round as Lindsay Dickey making a move on Martin in the background as a lap marker, but Abyss giving Ferret the squeezes. There's a little bit of contact, but it's nothing bad. It's just hard racing. This is pure racing between the two of them, and Ferret gets it done up the inside. But I really hope Lindsay Dickey doesn't get involved here, as he's looking like he wants to.
Yeah, he does have the right to unlap himself, but he has to do that in a safe manner as well. So obviously he's got to be careful in his attempts to make an overtake, and he does allow Martin back past there. This is very close between these two all the way to the finish here. It's going to be a grandstand finish for the second pre-season race, and it's awesome to see the quality that's on display so far at the moment. So Abyss trailing Fat Ferret, and Fat Ferret has had a pretty good middle sector here, so pulled it to about 5 tenths, but Abyss has pulled it right back, and he has saved up a bit more battery. So here we go, and got to be careful around these corners at this late stage. We don't know, maybe the drivers could be on 1 or 2 warnings, so got to think about that as well as we head down the main straight once again. And Abyss is going to have the DRS now, and he's very far back on this occasion, so the move might not be possible, but we'll see. Yeah, he's not really burning battery either, so maybe this is the tactics coming into it here on the penultimate lap as we begin it now.
Yeah, as Lindsay Dickey in the background tried around the outside of Martin and then had a big moment. We saw Kizzy up the back causing a yellow flag as well. But as we're on the penultimate lap, not a lot of this matters. And we'll stay with Abyss, I think, off board as he gives the best overall picture of this, well, what is a 4-car train, but basically a 3-car train between these leaders here. Maybe Martin will stick his nose up, try disturb this lead fight just a little bit, but Abyss is going to go up the inside in the middle sector. This is a place we haven't seen a move prior, and that sends Ferret wide, and now Martin tries to get his nose up as well. Abyss actually getting a reasonable gap from that, but through this section it looks a lot bigger than it actually is. It's only about 4 tenths, and Ferret now finding himself behind again. Abyss really wants to be leading as we head onto the final lap of this Grand Prix. We're heading through the final sector on the penultimate lap here. So we're about to head on to lap 29 here. Abyss leading the way as they're about to head through the final 2 corners to begin the chase to the end. Abyss wanting to lead here, and Ferret chasing tail as he will try get Zonix-like final lap move for the lead. And Ferret now opening the DRS one last time in this race as we head on to lap 29. Abyss is holding the inside. He wants Ferret to go the long way around, and Abyss can't quite hold on there, but there's still the rest of the lap to go. We've seen Abyss make moves at other part of the racetrack now, as we saw on last lap. And Abyss, he overshoots the corner, but he's trying everything he can, but that could be the mistake that costs him here. He goes off the track. The gap is still only 4/10 as we see a yellow flag. It's a Williams off again, but we'll stay on board with Abyss here as he heads into the middle sector now. They're ending the first sector of split as they head into the hairpin. We'll go off board now with Ferret. Abyss, this is where he made a move last lap. He's not going to be close enough this time around. He's going to have to use everything he has if he wants to bring this home. But right now it's looking like it's going to be an Aston Martin who's going to take home the second preseason race victory here in Qatar. The green shining under the light. And he only has 2/10 over the top of that Alpine. But as we head into the flat out final sector, it's highly unlikely Abyss can get a move done here, as through the first right flat out, second right flat out, and now the final right-hander, just a little bit of a lift come the race, and now don't get a penalty here. All Ferret has to do is get it round these final couple of corners, and now just the final corner, Abyss is gaining, but it's looking like it's going to go for an Aston Martin. Ferret looking like he's going to take home the win as they come to the line. It is going to be Ferret who takes the victory here in Qatar, and he wins the second pre-season race of Season 6.
Yeah, well done by Fat Ferret there. Very good defense, a very well-played strategic effort as well. It was an awesome race from him as well. He definitely deserved that win. Taipan TJ does sneak into P4 there, centre with a big penalty. So Taipan had a very good race. Martin and Taipan did occupy the back row of the grid, so a very good result for the both of them to finish P3 and P4 respectively. And yeah, an awesome race from the front too. It was good all race long, and they were just able to break away on after the safety car restart. It was just Ferret and Abyss who were able to just run away with it, and they battled all the way to the end and finished neck and neck. In the end, as yeah, Senna comes home P5, Mickey P6, a nice little comeback from him. Then Sparks, Kuistra, and Milan, who's going to be the second last driver to finish here behind Kizzy, who's been lapped. And as a bit of brotherly banter there between the two of them. As Milan, yeah, he comes home P9. He had a rough race, unfortunately for him. And yeah, a few incidents, not as clean as we would have hoped, but up the front it was very clean. And a great race again from Fat Ferret to take it home.
Yeah, and hopefully there is more of that to come in the actual season. Obviously, as some people are probably aware of, and most people in ORL should be aware of, obviously sign-ups have been open for a little while, and with the new patch, everybody should be resubmitting their new evals. For anyone who isn't aware, it's around Hungary, so will anybody else rise to the occasion late on, submitting their evaluation and taking on these top guys here from this preseason race? We have seen it in the past where people who didn't take part in preseason come storming through in the actual season, but we'll have to see. But for now, it's looking like our little top 5 group here will be the people to watch in the season, with Fat Ferret taking home the win. Abyss P2, Martin picks up the podium even with 6 seconds of penalties. Then Taipan and Senna, they will be the ones to watch as we head into the main season. Then Mickey in P6 having a strong outing here after a couple of lackluster seasons behind him on F123. Then Sparks on his return, P7. Then Kuistra P8 on debut. Milan P9, Royal Duck P10, and the rest were DNFs. So, J-Man, what are your thoughts with that race?
I was impressed by what I've seen from Fat Ferret and Abyss. I think we are going to see a very, very exciting championship battle, especially in Tier 1, which is something that we've been lacking for a long period of time. So, ever since Season 1, pretty much, when it was me and you back in the day. So hopefully we'll be able to see something along the lines of that. I know nothing's ever going to live up to a battle that good, but it's good to see. And Tier 1, as we know, has been struggling for a reasonable amount of time. So it's good to see some top quality drivers come through, and also very close together on pace. There's no one that's really taking it away from anyone else. So yeah, hopefully this translates over into the main season as well.
Yeah, I'd happen to agree with you on that one. And do we want to get interviews here in pre-season, or do we wait? I don't think we did interviews last week.
No, may as well.
Yeah, alrighty. I'll just quickly jump into the showroom that you can now no longer get rid of the UI. Because EA doesn't like nice things. And showroom. Who was P3 again? Martin. So I'll get the Hass up first.
Yeah, we got to join
I've
the
got the
voice
communicator
chat.
online services bug. How wonderful. Anyway, alrighty, we'll join one of the chats. Where do we want to join? Just Paddock?
Yep. All right, I'll get him in.
Yep.
And okay, it looks like we have our third place finisher in. So I'll take it away if you don't mind. We'll start off with Martin. So tough qualifying. Didn't obviously get a lap in. Had to start right at the back, but it didn't seem to phase you too much because you were just able to work your way through the field quite nicely there. And had you not had that penalty towards the end, you could have been really fighting out for the win. But yeah, your pace looked very good today. I don't know. How'd you see your race?
Well, I saw my race as quite fascinating, I'm going to be honest. To go from last to third with absolutely no practice at all on Qatar since this game first came out. I've had little to no time on the game, obviously being away for work for the first 2 weeks of the game. So to come home for a podium, I was quite happy with. I didn't think I was going to do it, especially after the qualifying run. I was a bit pissed off with myself invalidating 2 good laps. So yeah, I was quite happy with the race in the end. A lot of collisions probably definitely helped me go through it with people taking each other out.
Yeah.
The battle for the first place at the end, I had 6 seconds, so I wasn't really going to get involved. I just sort of sat there in DRS to try and keep out of Type N catching me with the 6 seconds. So yeah, I wasn't looking to do anything with it with 6 seconds. There's no real point.
That's fair enough. And yeah, how do you manage with the track limits? Obviously, it's a very difficult track to keep your car inside. Obviously, ended up with 6 seconds in the end. So is that just down to lack of practice, or
lack of practice with obviously no assists for the first time? And I don't know, a couple of ones I thought were a bit stupid because I did lift, like completely off the throttle, but it still gave me the warning. But it is what it is. You move on, and yeah, shit happens.
Yeah, well done, Matt. Congrats on the P3. I'm sure we'll be seeing you up there many times throughout the rest of the season.
Cheers, mate.
All right, and we'll move on to our second place finisher. Lindsay, I'll hand it over to you.
Alrighty, so we have Abyss in the Alpine in P2. Obviously, Abyss, you got the second place there. It was close there at the end. You had a strong race in Silverstone as well. I'm just going to ask first before we get into the actual race, how are you liking this game? Because you're looking pretty comfortable with it.
It's painful. I definitely wasn't. If it looked comfortable, it wasn't. Martin can definitely tell you watching me, especially on those hards. There was just some moments, especially on no assists wheel. The throttle has become almost unpredictable at sometimes. So hopefully they can fix that. But otherwise, I'm getting the grips with it. I'm not. It needs work, but I mean, in the same fashion, it's something different. And again, I think I'm just adapting a little better than other people are at the moment.
Yeah, so now onto your race. Obviously, it was very close there at the end. I found it quite surprising you decided to hold the lead there, and obviously that did cost you on the final lap as you headed down into turn 1. What was your thought process when you decided that you just wanted to hold the lead?
To be honest, I didn't want to get involved with any rubbish DRS chicken crap, to be honest. That's what I was trying to avoid. It was a good race. It was fair. It was clean. I wasn't trying to play any DRS chicken games. It was apparently 2 hours practice first, literally my first laps on guitar in the game. So I was happy for second. I thought I could keep him off with the battery. I'd sort of been trying to learn from the last few laps, if I could keep him back, and I was keeping him behind pretty easily using barely any battery. So I thought maybe I was going to be able to do that, but obviously he just unleashed the full Hail Male, and we know how that is on this game. It is absolutely ridiculous when you've got overtake, DRS, and slipstream, and I was defenseless, so I tried to come for a last lap attack, but I could have sent it final corner, but there was no point being silly. Securing P2, it was a good race, and with literally no practice done, we'll take a P2 and we'll push on.
Yeah,
It was fun, that's the main part.
Yeah, so you obviously
Clean racing with Ferret.
Yeah, and I was just about to ask you a question about that. Obviously, we saw towards the end there, obviously the elbows started to get kicked out a little bit more, and this is just more of me trying to gauge how you two are racing each other. Were you just kind of like, I just want to see how much I can push this guy before he pushes back, or were you just kind of playing it safe and just battling as it went?
No, I've raced Ferret before. I know he's pretty good, so I knew sort of what I could do. I was also a bit scared with the game's contact model. I think is a little bit, hey, you going? But I mean, yeah, I've raced Ferret before, so I sort of knew he was one of the better drivers that I could try and push the envelope without being too ridiculous. And yeah, it was good. It was fair. It was clean. There was a little bit of wheel banging, but the rubbing is racing, so good fun. That's what we're here for in the end. Good fun racing side by side. Yeah, that's especially in preseason races. It's all about having fun, not necessarily about coming together and crashing in unnecessary incidents and things. So bit of fun, and we'll push on, eh?
Yeah, alrighty, well, congratulations on the P2, and I'm sure this will not be the last time somebody in ORL Comms Box ends up speaking to you this season. We're now going to we're now going to move on to P1, Fat Ferret J-Man. I'll let you take this one away. Obviously, he isn't your driver, but it's still your team at the end of the day, so have fun with this.
It's Aston Martin's always going to be up the front, Lindsay. I think you just got to accept that. But yeah, Fat Ferret, well done on the win today, first of all. And obviously, we have seen bits and pieces of you in the league from last season, but that's probably the best we've seen you drive so far. And obviously, you started your race towards the front, and you were just able to make your way through quite nicely. So just talk us through that one and how you went there.
So yeah, cheers. Qualifying went pretty well. I think I could have gone a couple tenths quicker. I messed up my second and third sectors on my fastest lap. So that was a bit of a letdown. I reckon I could have gone up to fourth or maybe third. But it's a good result. Seeing my average qualifying positions earlier in last season and stuff like that, down around 10th and 12th. So it was a good result for quali. And then off the line, got a pretty good start, I think. I think I jumped up to third. One of the Ferraris in front got a bit of wheel spin, so that was nice. Yeah, stayed with the pack. I thought I'd get dropped pretty quickly because of the qualifying gap between me and the front two, but I managed to stay with them with DRS, and then they came together. Safety car came out up to P2, I think, and it was pretty fun after the safety cars came out, because Abyss was right on my tail the whole time. We were battling it out, and I'm going to be honest with you, Abyss, I was absolutely meaning to play safety DRS chicken with you. I think I got wheel spin out of a slow turn one time, and I just absolutely stopped. So I was calculating that in my head for the last 5 or so laps, just to.
You bastard.
Yeah. But yeah, it was good, clean racing, and happy to get the win.
Yeah, no, it was very good to watch the front two you two battle today. And is this some momentum you're looking to sort of push through into the main season with battling with Abyss as well? Two of the faster drivers we've seen so far in the pre-season. So you're hoping these results can translate to Tier 1 throughout the season?
Oh yeah, you've always got to have hope. Not sure it will completely convert. I've got pretty lucky in Britain and in this race with the faster cars crashing out quite often. But yeah, I feel like with the practice I had before the race, I feel like I gained a lot of pace. as to where if I didn't practice, I would have been absolutely nowhere. So I think just a bit more dedication into the practice before the races, I reckon I could keep these results coming.
Yeah, it's awesome to see, and well done on the win, and well done to everyone that participated today. And yeah, it was a good showing for the pre-season, the second of the pre-season races this season. Lindsay, any final thoughts from what you've seen today?
No, not really. I feel like we're kind of covered it all. I'm just excited to get along to the draft and then the actual season. Obviously, to anyone in this call, anyone watching the stream, if you haven't submitted your evals already, or you haven't even signed up, maybe you're watching from someone who isn't inside of ORL, sign up, do your eval. It's a good time, and hope to see you out on track in Season 6. But that's going to be all for the pre-season race tonight in ORL. And that's going to be it. So yeah, goodbye, and we'll see you, I assume, draft night.